Today we're going to be talking about labeled intentions, my newest art project, and how I built that with Python PIL. So let's quickly talk about what labeled intentions is so we can have some context about what the rest of the video is actually about. So labeled intentions is an exploration of what labels are and how they have different meanings to people when they're juxtaposed on other humans. It accomplishes this through the use of text labels and then putting those labels on shirts, which then humans actually wear, and then other humans see those humans wearing those shirts. Just like the one I'm wearing right now. In this video, we're just gonna be talking about how we are creating those text labels with Python PIL and why I chose to do it that way versus, using a normal image editor. If you're interested about how I'm actually creating shirts and sending those to people, I have another video about that, or how I create and sell shirts online, and you can check that out as well. So that's what the project's about. Now let's talk a little bit about Python PIL, or the Pillow library, which we're actually using to do the image manipulation for Python. There's actually a lot of different image manipulation libraries in Python. Python's a widely used language, so it makes sense a lot of libraries exist. The reason I really like PIL is, one, it's got really good documentation. Part of that's because it's used by a ton of people, and because it's used by a ton of people, it's also very battle hardened, meaning that a lot of the issues that people run into have been run into already and probably solved for. This is one of the reasons why it has so much functionality, another plus, and also because it's used so much, it also gets updated quite a bit. So all these things I think are good signs of a good, well-supported project, and one of the reasons it's one of my go-tos for image manipulation, especially in Python. So the last part of context that we probably need to go into before talking about how I actually created these labels is, why did I choose to use a script for creating these pretty simple text labels as opposed to just using a normal text editing software of some sort. The big reason for this is because I knew that there was going to be a large quantity of different exports and variations of these labels that I wanted to produce, and that really tipped the scales to make me want to use script for this rather than the more manual image editing software. So let's look at the problem itself. I'm creating, in different labels, like pleasure, art, business, etc. And I want them to be output in a lot of different fashions. I might want a black background, a white background, might want transparent, might want some different sizes, maybe rectangles, squares, etc. So when you do that in an image editing software, some of them have this idea of a master template that you can use, and that can flow out into all these other things, but I'm often using open source software like GIMP and Inkscape, which may or may not have this functionality, and I definitely don't know enough about that to make that work for me. On the other hand, I do know a lot of code, and the cool thing about code is that basically you're just setting rules and you're making the computer do all the work to fulfill those rules. So in my case, with image editing software, I would have had to go through every design, or for every label, I would have had to go through them and, create each of those variations. Whereas in code, I could just change the rules and then have the computer do the work. For me, especially because I was printing these on shirt, which, isn't necessarily one-to-one with the actual design you're creating, I knew I was going to need to do multiple iterations. I would have to create something that looked good in the shirt editor, and then get them to send that to me, and then see how that looked, and then update my designs to better fit the shirt. And I didn't want to have to, let's say, create 36 different variations one time and then have to go through again and do 36 different variations based on the outcome of that shirt order. That was just too much manual labor when I could just, update my scripts and have the computer do all the work for me. So that's why I chose to do a script versus image editor. Your mileage may vary, but that is why it made sense for me. Cool, with all that out of the way, let's just go right into the code. Here's a quick overview of what the code does before I actually jump into the code so that you can kind of follow along with what's going on. First of all, there's a list of labels. Makes sense. I have all these labels for labeled intentions. So for each label, each of those labels that I have on a shirt, I'm basically going over each of the output types, and these are kind of like, do I want a black background, white background, transparent background, what color's the text, stuff like that. And then for each of those, we just create an image, set the text on it, and save that image. With that out of the way, let's go and actually look at some code. So let me get up my editor here. So here's my generation runner, which is actually going to be creating these labels. Just a note, this is in my custom generation framework that I built for myself, so you won't see a main function in here, but basically you can understand my generation framework as it just gets called. It might take some parameters from the command line, you don't have to worry about that here, and then basically it just runs, and then instead of it saving the image here, it actually just returns an image that my framework will save. So the only thing you're not seeing here really is the saving part, but I'll show that as well later in the video, so don't worry about that. So back to our labeled intentions generation runner. Here I'm just creating, how big do I want my image. I just choose 2000 pix by 2000 pix because that's usually pretty good, reasonable for DPI and stuff later on because I'm doing a print thing. Font path, I wanted to use the same font that Virgil Abloh actually uses for a lot of his labels, which you might have found these to be very similar. So this is Helvetica New Bold, so I just have a font path to that. And then I just chose a font size. As I mentioned earlier, how there might be different variations based on, or different iterations in order to resize like canvas and font size. This is something that I knew I was going to iterate on, so I wanted to pull this out into a variable. Now we'll just init the class. I chose to create my actual list of labels here. You can see these are the ones, some of the ones that I've actually produced already in the images that you saw earlier. And then we go to the generation. So this is where the core logic that I just talked about is actually happening. Here we just set what is a transparent color, a black color, and a white color, because we'll be using those over and over. And then we figure out what the center point is. Here the center point won't change because all of the images will have the same width and height. Now, here we go into that core label loop. So for every label in that labeled intentions or collection of labels that I created earlier, we're just going to create a transparent image, a black image, and a white image. We're going to draw the text of that label directly onto each of those images with the correct color based on what the background is. And then I'm going to just append the result of that to my all results and return it. Remember that this return type is only because it's inside my custom generation framework. And so by returning the image, I know that the framework will save this image later on. But here, for instance, you could just save your image directly. So let's just go into a few different things that we call here that you might be interested in. The first is the text utilities that I call in order to actually create the centered image. Here, basically, we are creating a text image itself that is of the same size. This is just easier for abstracting the logic out a little bit and making sure we're not messing with the original image yet. We take in a font, which we are actually going to load inside the PIL library using this image font object or class. I don't actually know what it is inside of here. And then this image draw object, which for PIL is just this weird thing that you create an image draw and actually to manipulate the image itself. So I just create that for this text image. And then I basically pre-calculate the width and height of this, of what the text would look like coming out. And this is because basically all image draw operations will draw from like the top left. So you can imagine like there's a, if this is the text, there might be a bounding box around it, and I don't know which one's left for y'all, but this is left for me. So if it's using the top left here, and I'm trying to draw a centered point, if I give it just the center point, it's actually going to be down here. But we don't want it down here, we actually want it up here. So that's why I pre-calculate that. With that pre-calculated width and height, I can then use that with the center point to actually find the top left draw point in order to make the text look centered when I actually export it. So here's where we actually draw that text using that newly calculated top left corner that is equivalent to the center point that we passed in. And then we create an out image, which is going to be basically a composite of the original image and the new image that we created. You can imagine like if you're in an image text thing, like this is the top layer and we're just smushing them down to flatten them into one image, which is just easier for operations here. So that's how we are doing the center text. And then the last thing that I didn't talk about yet is actually saving the image. Saving image is pretty straightforward in PIL. Another reason why I like it a lot, but we'll just kind of talk about what that is here. Here I just have made this own class to kind of abstract a lot of this object from my main code. But just call export image async, just takes an image and the name of that image. It's constructed with a folder path and the image types and stuff. So this is just saying, hey, is the folder that we're trying to save this to exist? If not, I'm just going to make it so that we don't run into any file operation exceptions. We're just going to create the path to actually save that file to, and then actually do the saving. Note that this is just a function on that image object that comes directly from PIL. So that's really the important part for you if you're just trying to, save your own thing. And I think that's it for code. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that's it for code. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. I know I ran through this a lot. There was kind of a lot of code and wanted to make sure I wasn't taking too long to get through it. I will have the source code available on my website, and you can find that link down in the description. So feel free to peruse that on your own time, and probably a little slower than I walked through it here today. I will also have links down in the description for Labeled Intentions. It's a project page. You can read more about the intention behind it and how I tried to accomplish that. As well as links to be able to shop the collection. And I know I talked a lot about how a pivotal part of this collection is actually putting the tech, these images that I'm creating, onto shirts and distributing those. So I will also have a link to the video that I created about how I create those shirts and how I distribute that in case you're interested in watching there as well. So I think that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.